Welcome to Spooky Month. You want a fun minigame, do you? Well, this one is to die for. Rise, my undying army. Let us dance the dance of the grave. Why, I hear you ask? Why would you kill your own army? Well, with the blood of the two, we have the life of the three. One paves the way, and the two. And finally, the blood of the three brings forth the four. That means 10. That means 20. And finally, I'm at my end at 33. To build this, we're going to use a for loop made out of command blocks. We just need 4 command blocks and we need 2 scoreboards. So let's make a scoreboard. And I'm going to call this one counter. We're going to go scoreboard, objectives, add, and we're going to call it counter. And we're going to say the type is dummy, which means it does nothing by itself. This counter, we're going to want to put in a command block to activate. Execute if score at P for the player, counter matches 1 or more. We're going to do 1 ... run, summon, zombie. And I'm going to go ahead and move the zombie over a little bit so that it doesn't spawn inside these blocks, like that. This is set to needs redstone, so it won't do anything just yet. And now we're going to add a chain block on top of that removes points when there's a zombie. Scoreboard, players, remove, at P, counter, 1. We're going to make this conditional so it only runs when the other one runs. And we're going to make the other one not need redstone anymore. To view the counter, you can use set display like so. Scoreboard, objectives, set display, sidebar, counter. And that will show it if there's somebody in the show. There's nothing to display yet, so I'm going to go scoreboard, players, set, Dr. Plasma, counter, 0. Now you can see there's a counter. So what happens if this counter changes? We will get zombies. So if I were to say, set that counter of mine to 1, now there's a zombie. What happened is the counter was 1 and it removed it until it was 0 because we were using that in matches. And so because we removed 1 each time, it produced 1 and then it stopped. But what happens if we do a bigger number? Well, if we were to do 4, now there are 4 zombies. Die. So now we're going to make it a game, an infinite loop that gets harder. So we're going to add another scoreboard. We're going to go objectives, add, and I'm going to call this one round. And it's another dummy. Let's switch our scoreboard with objective set display sidebar round. And I'm going to also do the same thing where I go scoreboard players set me round to 0. And we're going to add execute unless entity. And we're going to look for a zombie in a distance of, let's say, 0.50. There are better ways of doing this, but this is the way we're going to do it. Run scoreboard players add at P round 1. And we're going to leave this on needs redstone. And what this will do, we'll add 1 whenever there's no zombies to our round. Now that could be a problem because if there's zombies, it could go forever, right? Well, let's tell our other command blocks to create a zombie conditionally when this runs. Using scoreboard players operation at P counter equals at P round. Now whenever we increase the round, we're going to change the counter to not be 0 anymore. So the first command block makes a zombie whenever there's a counter, and then the next one, if that happens, subtracts 1 from the counter. And then this one down here is going to look for a zombie, and if there's not one, we're going to add 1 to the round, and this one will change the counter to be the round whenever that happens, creating a loop. Let's test it by turning on the second step. I'm going to use a lever. Now there's a single zombie. Now there's 2 zombies. Let's make sure it works. Should be 3 zombies next. And we can see that our round value is updating. It works. Now you have a mini game that creates infinite zombies. Try it on survival mode. See how long you can last. Tips. Use a stack of carrots or golden carrots and make sure the sword has mending so it lasts. And right here, I have added some additional features. If you want to make start or stop buttons, you can add tags to the players and to the zombies, whether the player is active so that this works for multiplayer. And you can use the spread players trick by subtracting 1 more from the count when it hits 0 just to do it once at -1. Shout out to my new patrons on Patreon, Matira and Cyborg. I'm going to make this available on Patreon to all patrons. My high score is 67. See if you can beat that on your own or on this one. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye, everybody.